new law school somewhere in Knoxville, Tennessee. We're part of Lincoln Memorial University, which is about an hour and a half north of Knoxville, right by the Kentucky border. Last year I talked about Libguides as research guides and building research guides with Libguides. Now, how many of you are familiar with Libguides? Pretty good number. Now, how many of you use Libguides at your institution? How many of you use Libguides at home for fun? No one? Okay. Actually, this comes in handy because yesterday I was looking for our student handbook and I just went on my Droid and I went to Libguides and I found the student handbook because I have everything linked where I want it to be. Just to give you a little background, at Duncan, we have primarily a digital collection. We do have national reporters system, well, with federal reporters. The southeastern reporters, we have, CFRs in print, some ALRs and AMDRs in print. Not a lot of monographs in print. We mostly rely on our digital libraries, Westlaw, Lexis, Heinlein, eBrary, NetLibrary, Greenwood. I can go on and go on and go on. But so it sort of makes sense that I like to aggregate the sources from all those different places and put them into one place. So with our faculty, there's a lot of digital resources out there that they've used in print, and now they've come to LMU and they have to deal with our collection, and they exist. Most of these exist. Corbin on Contracts exists, Wilson exists somewhere, but they all exist in West and they all exist in Lexis and maybe Lois Law, which we don't have. But yeah. So they're always asking, can you get me this? And I said, well, it's on Westlaw. And they're, can you get me that? And I said, well, you can get that on Heinlein. Can you get me that? So what I decided to do is figure out the needs of my faculty and create Libguides from that. And then from there, I've sort of developed other things, study guides, and a sort of textbook that we're using. So we're going to go over the 3 ways that I'm using Libguides. I'm going to show you sort of what they look like. And then I'm going to show you how I've sort of created them. And then if you're lucky and we have time, we might make our own Libguide today. So, so this one is basically Bruce Beverly's Libguide. And it is personalized for him. And I have his own address. When I publish this, it's not published to regular Libguides. I do the private, so he can go to it. And Bruce is actually liked this so much that he's made it his homepage onto his computer. So there are things from the university that we need. There are different links. So we have the academic calendar, email from off-campus, human resources for things like finding out if they've actually paid us the right amount that month. And we can just sort of link to it and open it just like having a favorites page. If they need the student handbook, which is in PDF, he can open and it'll eventually load. It's wireless. So. And like yesterday, I needed the student handbook. And I don't have my own, so I went to somebody else's and typed it in my computer and found the student handbook. But it comes in handy that this page is basically, the home page is uniform for all faculty members, except for the fact that what I do is I give them a little video just to brighten their day. I know it seems silly, but Bruce and I had seen the Verve Pipe, and they did this family album of children's songs. And so every once in a while, I'll put a video for them, and I'll change it up just to keep them interested and say, oh, there's something new, like Kansas Dust in the Wind, because he loves Kansas. But that's, the homepage, the general links that they're going to use that aren't related to their teaching or their scholarship package. And that's not going to work too All right, so what then I do is, I've also done a general reference. This too is going to go through the same for almost all faculty members. Now, if they want something added anywhere, they can tell me and I'll add a link to whatever database they want to use. So I'll do a general reference, Funk and Wagnall's New Encyclopedia, good quotes for speakers, legal reference, the American Law Reports, AMJUR Proof of Facts, AMJUR Trials, Black's Law Dictionary, CJS, and then some commonly used LMU databases that they might want to use are eBrary and ProQuest, which I think our faculty are actually getting a lot out of. And I've thrown in here a Google Scholar page, so if they want to search Google Scholar. So those two are uniform throughout every guide I create. And then I have to get into, yes?
What are you linking to with AMJUR and Syllabus?
I'm linking, with AMJUR, I'm linking to Westlaw. I'll open that up, here. I'm linking right to the database. So,
and since you already have Westlaw open, you don't need to authenticate, is that right?
well, yeah, I've logged in. So I've made sure not to put anything that would subject us to some copyright infringement or licensing infringement. Everything that it's either one of our documents or it is password protected. Even with Hein Online and all our other databases, you still have to log in through our easy proxy. So only those with passwords can actually get in to this. I wish I was wired, but so that'll open to Westlaw eventually. And for Westlaw, and I'll talk about this later, I'll use a link builder to go right to the databases. With Lexis, you don't have to use link builder for the databases, but you do have to use them for the documents. So yeah, this will open up and it'll bring them to the, what did I open up? AMJUR second database. So they can go to the table of contents or run a search in there. I always try to get them to use the table of contents. And sometimes I've marked these, these I haven't marked to indicate which database. I'll do it on some, I just sort of forget about that. So that's just the general legal reference. Now, Bruce teaches in torts, and his scholarship is in torts and family law. So I've compiled with feedback from him, sort of the things he might need. So treatises, business torts, medical malpractice. I've got the restatements of torts that link to Westlaw, and then you can also put in RSS feeds to blogs. And he's a big fan of Dan Torts and Tort Professor blog, so I've created RSS feeds so that instead of actually having to go to the blog itself, he can get a feed and find out what the latest postings are. Yes?
That content that you had on the left, the treatises general, are those links to your catalog? And if so, why aren't you using the catalog function in Libguides?
They're links right to West.
So all of those are linked to Westlaw?
A lot of these are going to be linked to Westlaw. Some might be linked to Lexis. Yeah, like this is linked to Lexis. This torts multi-jurisdictional surveys with analysis, I think is what I opened. So, yeah. So here I have to log in. But I set up what I think they're going to use on a regular basis, and then I'll get feedback. Well, what sort of blogs do you use? What sort of databases do you want on a regular basis? What sort of subjects do you want just ready reference to? And after that, I create the guide, and then if they need anything else, they just asked, and I'll throw it in there.
So can you go back, how did you get the RSS feeds in there?
I'll show you. I'll show you that when we go back and do the content creation. All right, and so I've done a family law where again, family law treatises and state specific, a couple laws that he gets, and then I've done case law. This links to Westlaw's family law databases, the case law databases, where it's just family law cases. So if he wants to search for Supreme Court cases dealing with family law, or United States Court of Appeals cases with family law, or district court cases with family law, he can just open the database and search for cases related to, he was a divorce attorney for 17 years, so divorce and child custody and things like that. Now, along those lines, see, I've done Bruce's, and amazingly, we have our academic dean, who's sort of interested in family law as well. April Meldrum. So I just go to hers, and what I've done is I can take the homepage, and I can, every time I create a new LibGuide for each faculty member, I can just copy that page, right? With her family law, I mean, I've changed it a little bit, and I gave her a video too, but where I took out all of the databases specific to Texas. Bruce practiced in Texas. He's familiar with Texas law. If he wants to compare, he likes having Texas law materials there. April's primarily from Tennessee. She likes Tennessee, and she is primarily interested in juvenile rights. So I'll get rid of some databases that Bruce would use that she wouldn't use. But again, it's sort of tailoring what resources your faculty member likes. And then I asked her, I said, well, give me a list of sources or databases that you want to have on a regular basis, and she gave me a list, and I decided, well, we'll call that one rules, because she wanted like Constitution of the State of Tennessee, the Tennessee Rules of Civil Procedure, and with these I've just linked out right to the Tennessee Judiciary website that has the Tennessee Rules of Civil Procedure. It's just easier to go and open these links than it would be to go to Westlaw and do it. So one of the other things is figuring out what is easiest to read and to link to. I mean, you're going to have choices, and just figuring out, well, what is going to be easiest for the user, and that's why with that I didn't link out to Westlaw. I linked right to the court's website. And then here, she went to the ABA Model Rules of Professional Responsibility and the annotated Constitution. So here I've linked out to LII's annotated Constitution. So that's sort of the LibGuides just for law professors. And it's really LibGuides for law professors. It could be LibGuides for everybody. Sort of the next step is, I was thinking about students. We had taught them about secondary sources, and we provide them with audio case files and CALI, and we explain that they're all here. And let me go to and I was talk to some students, and they'd say, I'm like, so have you used CALI? And actually, our top students, this is very interesting. Whenever I talk to them, they're like, yeah, I love CALI. And then other students, I'm like, do you like CALI? And like, nah, I don't really like that. And how, they might not be doing as well. But actually, I have found at our law school, students who use CALI tend to do pretty well. But what I've done is, what we have here is, it's basically a study guide that is tailored to the individual course. It's tailored pretty much to not only the course, but the casebook that they use. At our law school, it's very convenient because all faculty are in a particular subject are required to use the same textbook. So all torts professors use the same textbook. All contract professors use the Crystal book from Aspen. They're usually the Aspen books. So I don't have to create multiple ones. I create one for each subject based on the textbook that we use. So my first page is basically links to our books in our catalog, study aids in the subject area, contract resources generally, CALI lessons, Corbin on contracts, Murray on contracts, second restatement, and audio case files. And then the first page I do the sort of how to succeed in law school, CALI lessons, and like bearing on preparing for finals, his podcast. So that's it's just general overview of things that they can use on the homepage. Yeah.
I know that the first guide you showed us was private because they were for the faculty. Is this one private as well?
This one is published because it's for all students, and I don't want to have them to give them the address. So if they go to Libguides home, they can see, oh, torts, and there'll be the torts resources contracts, there'll be the contracts resources. Now, one of the problems with doing these is you really, if you're following sort of the casebook and following the faculty members' syllabus, the faculty actually have to have, it's good if they have a syllabus. So I've been working on these pretty much this summer, and I've been, so do you have your syllabus done? And they're like, nah, not really. So I have an idea of what they're getting to. We've talked about it a little bit, but I've only gotten, with contract, I've only gotten up to third parties because he's not quite sure exactly what everything he's covering. He might not cover the whole book. He might cover the whole book. Now, what I've done with the individual subjects, so I'll go through the casebook and I'll say, okay, chapter 1 is about mutual assent. Chapter 2 is about consideration, or chapter 3 is about consideration. So I go through all our resources, and what I did is this, I have cases, CALI, and restatements and treatises. The cases, what I've done here is I've linked to Lexis for all the cases. And I did that because when I was working on these, I wasn't sure as to how Westlaw Next was going to affect the links. So I was going to play it safe and use Lexis. I've been assured that I can link to the individual cases on Westlaw, and that they will be there for at least 2 years. I mean, I don't think they're giving me a long-term guarantee, but they're going to be there because Westlaw is still going to be there, and Westlaw Next is there's just going to be a tab for Westlaw Next. So there's certain, like if I wanted, say, Drennan v. Stark paving, they can be in class, they can open up the case, and it's not the edited one, it's the full copy. So the full case. Now, why would they want to read the full case? I don't know, but they might want to read the full case. More than that, though, is I think, for librarians, we sort of teach a lot about using these different resources, or at least I do. And if they open up the case and they shepherdize it, they can see how the case has been used later. They can also see how other courts have treated the case. They can see if it's been cited in a restatement. And it sort of brings to them all the different treatments of that particular case. And if they're having trouble with understanding a particular concept, what we're doing is providing an easier way for them to get to the resources. I mean, one of the things I thought about was when a lot of students, they were having trouble with in Civ Pro with the Erie Doctrine. And so, some of them got like the Legends Law School series and we're listening to, and they're like, Professor Walker, they only talk for 2 minutes about the Erie Doctrine. I'm like, okay, well maybe there's only 2 minutes to talk about on the Erie Doctrine. So I said, okay, well, did you look in Wright and Miller? Because Arthur Miller has a lot to say about the Erie Doctrine. He's got about 60 pages or so. They said no. So that was sort of my idea. Is this is how this started? Is I'm going to link to all the material there that they're studying. So maybe they're not going to get it through reading the cases. Maybe they're not going to get it through the CALI lessons. Maybe they're not going to get it through reading the treatises and the horn books. Maybe they're not going to get it. But I'm going to sort of take all of those in a particular subject and say, this is all we have. If one thing doesn't work for you, try another thing. And hopefully, it'll help them understand it. I remember when I was in law school, conflicts of laws. I think I had it in this class. No, I had it one next to over. It was awful. I'm reading the Horton book. I'm not even understanding the Horton book, no less the cases, because it's conflict of laws. And I just sort of wish that there was some sort of module that was going to put everything in that area together. And yeah, the wireless is just not working well for me today. Let's close that. But so mutual assent. What we're also doing is we have audio case files. Anybody familiar with audio case files? We have that for all of our students. And they're still working on it right now. They're actually going to be uploading cases for all the case books that we're using. I was told late June, early July. So what I did is I've been going through and trying to find the audio case files for the cases that we have there. So like I found a few, and I really wish that. So I can go under Drennan, the Star Paving Company. I just link Drennan Audio, and it brings up the audio case file, so they can listen. They can, if they have their smartphone, they can link it and listen to it while they're driving. Or I don't know, if they're bored at a party, they can open it up and listen to Drennan v. Star Paving. Question?
Yeah. You may have mentioned this, I'm sorry. The cases that you select, you key it to the case book and the syllabus. Do you just use the cases that are mentioned, that are specifically used in the case book, or do you go beyond it?
I won't go beyond it, because that's just getting to be a little bit too much work. When I started doing this, and I'm like, we're going to put all the cases there, the shepherdized, and it's all there, and then I'm going through it, and I'm doing it, and I'm like, oh God, why did I agree to do this? It's a lot of work. I mean, it's a lot. You got to go and build a link to each case, and with the audio case files, it's easy. I just go up here and I'll cut and paste. With Westlaw and Lexis, you have to go through Link Builder, put in the citation, copy that, put it in there. I mean, and I shouldn't complain too much. It's just tedious, and sometimes your world is just hyperlinking. And so just do one at a time. Don't try doing them all together. Luckily, in a couple weeks, I'll have help with this. And we'll have emerging technology librarian and faculty services librarian, so faculty services can take the professor ones, and emerging technologies can help me with the course ones, like our study guides. And right now, I think I'm only going to do it for the first year courses, because that's when law students really need it the most. But I'm also going to do constitutional law, because I just think that's going to be fun. With all that's out there with constitutional law, Supreme Court records and briefs, OEA.com, I think that's going to be a fun one to do. So I'm going to, and maybe evidence. I think I might, evidence might be fun too. Yeah.
You had a list this long of cases.
Yeah.
But they cover more cases than that during the course. Are you intending to have to update this every?
Oh no, well this is just mutual assent. This is offer acceptance.
Oh, got it. You broke
Right.
it down into that. Okay. Wow.
Now what I've also done is I've linked to a search for the treatises and the restatements. What I was originally doing was putting in the individual chapters and sections for that, and I'll show you that. But what I did is with Lexis, I went to Corbin, and I did a search result that'll go right to whether or not Corbin talks, where in Corbin on Contracts Desk Edition he talks about consideration. So you can do a search to a heading, search to a section, whichever one gets you the better results. But here, he's got in preliminary definitions, meaning of offer. Offer is creation and duration of powers of acceptance. Where else? That one, advertisements usually are not offers. So they can go through each one and say, all right, well, I want to understand this better. So, Corbin on offer acceptance. I did the same thing with Murray on contracts. And then I did a search in Lexis to where the restatement talks about offers and where it talks about acceptances. Now let's go back. So, and then I've gone through mutual assent, offer acceptance, and then consideration. So I've done the same thing with consideration. There's less cases with consideration. I was very happy about that. And the weird thing is, like, the book jumped around. It went from offer and acceptance to consideration, and then it went back to like problems with mutual assent. So I said, instead of doing that, we'll just put the problems with mutual assent under the mutual assent section. So there's decisions that you have to make. I just thought it would be organizationally better, more organizationally prudent to do that. Now let me show you the horror. That was one of my weeks. Okay, remember when I did searches to those treatises. Well, my first instinct, and I kept it up just for this, was to go through and say, okay, go through everything on Corbin on contracts, classification of contracts, meaning of offer, unilateral and bilateral contracts, preliminary negotiations. Now, when I first did this, it was my understanding that with Lexis I can just go to cut and paste the URL, because it always worked for the databases. And when I had called them 2 years ago to talk to them about this, the person on the other end said, yeah, you can just cut and paste. Now that was with databases, so I'm thinking, it's going to work for cases too, but it didn't. Okay, so I went through all of Corbin on contracts, I went through all of Murray on contracts, right? See all that? I did a link for every single one of those. Now, and it wasn't just mutual assent, because I had done mutual assent, consideration, promissory estoppel, statute of frauds, and parole evidence in all those treatises before 2 days later when I went to open one up, it didn't work. Search results expired, and I was just like, that was 15 hours of work out the window. So one of the things I would always say is, even if you think it's going to work, wait 36 hours, like just try like a Lexis, and try like a link for that, and then wait a little while, like not the next day, not 24 hours, wait about 36 hours, and see if it still works 36 hours later. Now I'll tell you, if you use Link Builder if you use the link builders, they'll work pretty well. But yeah, so that's what I'm doing. That's what we're doing with sort of these study guides, which sort of takes me to the third thing that we're doing, and that is trying to create as much as we can electronic casebooks. Now, at LMU, Loring Skills 1 is basically legal research and legal citation. Last year, what we had used was teachinglaw.com. So, it was an electronic casebook, and I don't want that. I want to go Libguides home. And none of the students really liked teaching law. They thought it was too confusing to navigate. So, and I said, I can sort of do my own, I think. And is everybody familiar with like teaching law and okay. It was basically an electronic casebook for legal research and writing. Let's see. So I was thinking, why don't we do this? We have, I like having them read their own separate articles and cases in addition to the materials. Like Judge Kaczynski has some of the best speeches ever. Like, who gives a hoot about legal scholarship, and should reading legislative history be an impeachable offense? It's just really great articles, and he wrote Hart v. Massari, which talks a lot about sort of the history of cases. And I like to use those, I like to have students read them. And when I taught advanced legal research, I really used to torture my students because I'd have them read like how our laws are made. That's put out by GPO. It's like 90 pages of exactly how. Well, and they didn't like me for that. But they sort of learned how our laws are made. So while I wait for this, all right, so Learning Skills 1 Fall 2010. All right, what we've been doing here, this is the home, like on any home page. And when I finish writing the syllabus, which will be on Wednesday, I'll be finished. I've pretty much planned out the course. We have a certain format that we have to use at Lincoln Memorial. So I have to conform all of that into that and to put the syllabus up. Originally, the idea was we were going to use legal research in a nutshell, the electronic version, and supplement that. We talked to Wes, and they said, no, we're not going to, we can't provide you access to legal research in a nutshell. We said, okay, well, we're going to pay for each student like what it would be for the print copy, or more if you want, for each student in our school, so that we can have access to teaching law in a nutshell, so I can have like a foundation to build around. They said no. So something about they didn't have the, I don't really remember what it was, but they refused to grant us access, even though we wanted to pay for it. So we decided to go with finding the law, because I really love Barring's finding the law. And with this, I think I can work around it. I think it's a great foundation, and he's putting that up in electronic format. I will learn, and I'm hoping I'll be able to link from chapter to chapter. But right now, students are going to have to buy the book, and it'll be like read chapter 1, finding the law, and then learn more about the United States. This is going to be a link out to a government website that talks about. Wait, is this the one? Which one is this? This document, and I'm going to learn about the United States. It's actually quick civic lessons for the naturalization test, which I think all first-year law students should read before doing anything. I mean, I'm serious. Some of my exams actually look like immigration exams. And then in addition to that, that's the required reading. So I have required readings for August 16th, 17th. If you're on Monday, it would be 16th. If it was Tuesday, it would be the 17th. And so this is the required. And in addition to that, I can give them as many links and as many sources to learn about legal research and legal authority as possible. But, they also have to take other courses like torts and contracts. And even though they're not as important as, Learning Skills 1, which we all know, I don't make them do it, but I put it up the additional resources. So I'll link to CALI lesson, where does the law come from? And I'll link to the structure of the United States government. And just so they can sometimes get a visual aid on these things. And then, I love this legal research in the movie. Oh, it's on YouTube. I've linked to YouTube. I won't show it, but it's good. I like to show them at the beginning of the course, and then show them at the end, and say, now you see what all these things are. It talks about ECFR and all that. So with class 2, I'm having them read chapter 2 in Finding the Law, but I'm also having them read a case, Part V, Masonari, right? And I'm having them do the Georgetown case law tutorials, parts 1 and 2. After that, I'm not going to require that they do those tutorials, but I'm going to put the tutorials up. So I'm linking to, where's that case? So here, Part V, Masonari. Now, this is what we're doing for Learning Skills 1, which is basically legal research and blue booking. But if you think about it, what is a casebook? It's just a list of cases. So this would work very well with your doctrinal courses. I mean, you link to the cases, and then you can link to law review articles and sort of create your own electronic casebook. Now, you're not going to have the commentary, but I think that if law professors would just work a little harder, they can write their own commentary. Or you can go with the old casebook method from like the 1950s, where it was just cases or primary materials, right? If everybody works, if you have a bunch of people working together on a Libguide, we could say we're going to use these cases. I'll write this commentary, you write that commentary. It doesn't have to be just in one institution. It can be cross-institutional. It's just a very nice platform for actually creating your own course material. So we can go into like week 3. I don't even know what we're talking about in week 3. Lexis, no required reading, updating the law. Sometimes there's not going to be a lot. Sometimes in like week 8, that's what's long there. And you'll notice that there's no week 9. That's because there's finals or fall break or something like that. And so I'll do legislative history. There's required reading. I'll put up what Guido Calabresi has to say about legislative history. And we also do class captures. So I have one of my lectures from last year on legislative history that I can just link up, and if before actually attending the class, they can listen to my very long-winded lecture on legislative histories. So that's sort of the idea for what we've been doing with Libguides. I mean, there's really no reason for us to do research guides at this point. We've had our first year part-time evening class. We're getting our first day class this fall. So, we've had Libguides, but nobody's really writing anything. So while we start getting upper-level writing requirements and our seminars, I'll start doing the traditional research guide with that. But for now, what are my users' needs? I mean, I have faculty who just need certain types of documents on a regular basis, and I have students who want to learn, the law, and they want sort of their study guide, and they want them. It helps them to have them all in one place. So that's what I do. It's a lot of work on my part. Is it going to pay off in the end? I don't know. Some of my faculty are happy with theirs. We'll see what's going on, how the students view it. I was talking to some Rutgers students today, and they said, so what's going on here? Is it CALI? Oh, what's that? And I just talked about certain things, and I mentioned this is what I'm going to do, and they're like, oh, that's great. So, I wish they did that at Rutgers. I'm like, oh, all right. So that's what we're doing. Now, I'll talk about just really how easy it is to do these things. Let's go into... let's go week 12. Oh, no, week 12. All right, I'm going to create my own from scratch. I'm going to use asking the First Amendment. Let's say we're going to create a study guide. Now, what's going to happen here is that the wireless is going to give out, and this is going to take forever to do, but we can all pray. So we go to my admin. Well, while we're waiting, does anybody have any questions? Yeah.
Why did you, I mean, we own the Libguide, we haven't done much with it yet, but we own it because, and this is very cool, but why did you choose that? For instance, you could have done an awful lot of that in Twine. You could have built each faculty member a course in Twine, like a research course, and put all that in it. or put a lot of that in it. Why Libguides? I mean, if I had to go back and sell that at school, why Libguides rather than what I've already got?
Because a lot of that was just links, but we can also, there are certain, I can do the RSS feeds. I don't know if you can do the RSS feeds with Twin. And then linking books from the catalog, and then, the embedded videos. I think there's more that you, because with Twin, I think you can put a video up, but I don't think that much. Like, there is a limit, right?
It's easy. I think the Libguides are easier to add, to train on. It's easier to use. And you don't have the problem of it dying, what happens at the end of the term with your class? They archive it, and sometimes I think you have trouble getting non-Westlaw information in there, and so because this is not so proprietary, I think you have a lot. I think it's easier. The only other thing that I would say is that when we've built the Libguides, we've had drop-down menus on the tabs.
And I thought about doing that with mutual assent. I was going to sort of make offer and acceptance, right? Because you can do you can drop down. And when I looked at it, I just said, I think it might just be a little confusing for the user right now. Maybe in other one, if I were to do common law, maybe then. I just trying to make it as easy for them as possible. I mean, that was the decision that I was making on that. But all right, let's create a new guide. I have Stone, Seidman, Sunstein, Tushnet on the First Amendment.
Can I jump in with a quick question since it's
Yeah.
thematically tied to the other one? Like at your law school, are faculty typically using a course management thing in the sort of Twin or Blackboard or such kind of vein?
We use Twin. They use Twin extensively. I mean, they put their syllabus up, other documents up on Twin. They have discussions on
My question
Twin,
really
so-
that has to do with how, so within the sort of Twin, site, the students are going to be looking at for, what's the reading assignment, what's the homework, what's my grade, if they use it for that. Like, how is this sort of represented in that environment? Like, what's the path or the?
Oh, so like, does Twin go back to Libgo?
Well, sure, or just, how do you sort of stick your, I mean, is it, is the Libguide just stuck in there as a course link or introductory material or?
Well, we're doing a bridge link, so my anticipation is for all entering students, it's going to be, well, here, this is another resource that you have. For example, we provide them all with Aspen Study Desk, so at the beginning of the year, we train them on how to use Aspen Study Desk. It's just going to be another training session for all the students. Actually, to go with that question, let's look at, I'm going to do Jam Libguides. And it actually goes with this question too. I've started doing something new with Libguides. One of our faculty members is having me research things on like the Constitutional Convention and like the everything on the legislative history of the 14th Amendment. In addition to what is best in life, that's a running joke between him and myself, I've put up a tab for originalism. And basically when I find documents that he's going to want to read, I just link right to those individual documents. Instead of sending him the links, it was getting to be a mess. I'd find documents and I'd send it to him. So what we decided to do is if it's a database that he might want, if it's a book in a particular place, I've created a page, so one page that has actually all these Madison's notes on the debates of the Federal Convention, that links to Hine Online, Journal of William McClay links to Hine Online, but we also have docs on Twin that it's a private Twin site where he can then go and access PDFs. I mean, 'cause we're trying to keep these closed to the public, So any way we can do that, that's one way of getting around that. We can post docs, and that's really would just be for him. So you can use Twin in conjunction with Libguides. I'm still trying to work out all the ways that I can use it. I'm just, as needs arise, it's just another tool for me to figure out how to go about that. But I don't know. I mean, I think using Libguides is really easy, and Twin, I've had bad experiences with Twin. It sort of sometimes you can't open the documents you want. Sometimes it takes a while to get through. I mean, they're working on it. I try to avoid Twin as much as possible. And really, I think this is sort of an extension of the idea of research guides. It's just personalized, right? I don't know if you would have the same ability to, the same creative control over Twin as you do with this. I mean, with Twin, you're pretty much stuck with their formula. Here, you can change the size of the boxes. You can add different types of content. So, all right, where are we? We're home. Review. Explore. Libguides index. Let's get review. Oh, there. I'm going to create a new one. I'm just going to put the guide title up. First Amendment. And I'm not going. I can select an editor. Let's go with Gordon Russell. Create new guide. Automatically, I mean, you have the three boxes. I always do home last, and I'll add a page. So I'll go through here, add new page. All right, what's the first thing we're talking about in First Amendment? And I take a little bit more time to look and figure out how the book's organized, or how the course is going to be organized. But like the history and philosophy of free expression, okay, we're going to skip that, and we're going to go to content-based restrictions. So I'll just call it content-based, create page. Now there's three things I always think of. All right, I need the cases, I need the CALI lessons, and I need to find treatises, or if there's restatements, and I don't think there's a restatement on the First Amendment. So I'm going to edit the page. I can resize the columns. I wouldn't be able to do this with Twin, right? I don't think so. Unless they've changed Twin substantially.
There's a question back here?
Yeah.
When you're doing one of these as a research page for a faculty member, when you're doing thorough research, there are things that are only available in print. What are you linking to your catalog? Are you linking to an ILL, something? What are you doing with materials that are not electronic? You
mean individual, like a monograph that they're using for? Well, that I put in there all.
I'm sorry.
I'll get them the monograph and I'll give it to them.
But do you? Because to me, the value of this is gathering everything in one place. So can you just add it as text, things that are available?
Well, I can add a link if it's in our catalog. Let's say if it's at the university or if it's at the law school. I can create a box for books from the catalog. So it'll be I can put in the author name, call number, description, whether it's in, whether it's out. I could link to. I can either link to the catalog listing, or I could link to a description of the book. And I mean, so there's
maybe you could link to a WorldCat record or something.
I could link to a WorldCat record.
Okay.
But I don't know if that's necessarily going to help them. I mean,
Well, it depends upon how they do their research, but if they want to keep, I mean, for some people, the value of this could really be keeping everything they're looking at in one place.
Right.
And so it would help them immensely, I would think.
and that's what we just started doing with John. You know, it was, I'm leaving, there's a lot of things around there. I'm just going to put all this stuff in for you. So this week while I'm gone, just, these are the last things you wanted. And then, I mean, with regular books in print, if we have them, I bring them to them. If it's an ILL, I'll bring it to them. If it's just a book, it goes from wherever it came from into my hands, into his office.
But do you put it on?
As a record there? No, I haven't done that. And that actually might be a good idea, just to say, this is what you have.
And can you give them the ability to edit their own page?
I can, but I won't.
Why not?
Well,
I mean, if it's their page.
I know, but see, once I can give them access to Libguides. I can't give it to their individual page. I give it to Libguides, and I just don't want them touching it.
So you can't give
them just to their
individualized specific access.
Not that I know.
To the whole.
There's ways to do that.
You can give them like author access.
Like, I know I can delegate the editors for that, but I don't know if I can give it to him.
Yeah, but we can do, I mean, we have like two librarians writing one guide.
Right, but
What's the difference between you and the faculty member writing one
But
guide?
can they only edit that one guide, or do they have control and access to everything?
what happens?
There's a way to do this where you like invite the person to that one page, because we've got a staff that's going to try to do this. We can go with pathfinders on this. So,
Right, like if I go back to,
I don't know what it is, but
if I do
saw it last week.
the add new page, if you have a each, like, for example, we have a variety, all the librarians at the university and a professor at LMU has a access to Libguides. So if I'm doing a page, no, I want a new guide. Guide settings. Co-owners, editors, and collaborators. It's a list of everybody on that particular guide. I might be able to, I mean, it would be giving each of them an account to Libguide. I just, it's just how many keys do we want to give out to this?
To their own office?
What?
I guess I'm asking a question about Libguides, because we've, considered, and that, I guess my question is, can you give
You can give every
page level access to someone?
What you can do, yeah, you can, so long as they have access to Libguides, you can make them a contributor to each guide. If they want, I mean, they can create their own guides. It's like whenever I create a new page, I select at least 2 different editors, co-editors with me. Yeah.
We've used this product as we ask people taking our advanced legal research class to produce a LibGuide as their final project, and on a particular very finite topic. So the answer is yeah.
Now, when you give them access, do they have access to create as many as possible, or is it limited to, like, they get their own page?
I don't think any of them want to create as many as possible. We're focused on one. The problem that we have, and we don't make it public, it's private, but the thing that came up, which is interesting, is they see it as a product that they produced, and they want to share it to potential employers. So with some of them, we've kept it alive longer than their tenure at the school.
Can you just keep it as private, like published but private?
Yeah, but even still, because typically our desire would be to delete them all at the end of the class.
Right.
But and some of them are so good, the content is so good, that, I mean, we basically say, you know, they're ours, they're not, you know, that's what we've done.
Yeah.
There's also another product that's a sort of advanced version of this called Campus Guides, and if I remember correctly, it adds even additional permissions like editors. These are people you can assign, you can edit this page, you don't appear on this page as a public person. So if, for example, if we're working on something with a faculty member and we want their administrative assistants to be able to help, and they like this kind of thing because they understand it intuitively, we can say, okay, you have editor access to this, but they don't show up anywhere saying that a person using the guide as a user would see it. So this is, they're trying to add these kinds of different permissions to the guides so we can have the kind of flexibility to create things for students, create things for faculty that just display the kind of information that the users of the guide wants.
So,
Because we wanted researchers. I mean, we wanted researchers.
So an editor would be a good position for
Yeah. Well,
There's there's different levels.
no, and I've done that. Like, I had a research, when I was at Charleston, I had a research assistant help with some of these. So I gave him access to Libguides and then made him an editor on certain guides that I was working on. But I just, you know, for some reason I just don't like giving everybody a pass.
I think it's that bottom line that says collaborators.
Yeah, collaborators, what you're,
Yeah.
see what you're dealing with.
Do not have-
Dealing in this situation.
Yeah.
I have this.
All right.
Share.
And that I haven't used before. I mean, the thing about Libguides, they're always creating more functions. So, you know, I get stuck on certain ones and keep going with that. And if there's like a need, I'll look around and see if there's something I can do. But basically, everything I do with this is based on sort of needs and saying, well, can we use Libguides to help serve that need? All right, sorry I couldn't go through and show the creation of these. If you want to build these and you want to link to documents and databases in Westlaw, use Westlaw's link builder. With Lexis, use their link builder. At CCH, I know has a link builder. Otherwise, just run tests and see how the linking works. But if anybody has any questions, david.walker@lmunet.edu. And if you want, I have cards, so come by. Thank you, and welcome again. Yeah, that's what it is. Wes is putting it up. Well, right now, I think it's on Wall Street Exchange, and they're making an electronic version. Yeah, are they putting it on West? I don't know. I know, what I'm saying right now, they have it up on Wall Street Exchange. I've been informed by them that they're providing an electronic version.
I was going to ask you, they easily figure out.
It's too late for us because we told them that we're using that last edition. But I want to see test. Oh, okay. The one thing I didn't like about Barron's Brook,
So you took over from
very
them, so
good
you
about
got real detail.
sources and authority, not exactly about how. But with all this, with all the tutorials that are out there, I mean, it's very.
This is interesting.
Right. Right, oh, I see, so you want to like continue to, Charles didn't, but you want him to continue.
I hadn't thought about taking it over now.
Right. Oh, but it still says, oh, I see, it says created by, but that's not what it looks like.
You're right. I mean, I asked you that question to find out if I could write it back.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty good. I'm sure it's, it may be the kind of thing they just did.
Move them over to the website. Just wait a minute.
Rules out.
I mean, it's interesting. The only thing is, you have more tutorials.
Well, what we're doing is letting faculty
Yeah, well, they have it. So we have a person who goes into task. Donating. Right. Well, because it's not going to no, that's right. How does that get just
It's based on, like, all right, how much else?
Yeah, well, the other thing I love, because I was trying to always look at
yeah, that's all of the I mean, even
and then they're like, Sally, look, you've got steam in it, don't you want to try this out? No.
Yeah, I know.
So they've got a lot to do with that, so I was really interested.
Yeah, I
we can figure out.
like, when I like my dog.
Oh, no.
There's the massive, portrait.
They had a good start.
But you can roll on it.
Yeah. And then they didn't have it really not to say
So we asked 3 questions.
yeah. You were playing on stage? It starts at 5. They start with drinks at 5. But they start buses back at 7. Buses are that's better. Now that I'm here. So I know better than Elon's. I mean, Elon's reference us right finder. Yeah, I got there are the stretchy goals and just a couple of things. I'm an electronic machine. My God, you know then. Yeah, I can see. Well, mine. I mean, the fingers were a little right. They weren't in it. But yeah, the back pages of the responses that I took to you out. Oh yeah, North Carolina had I still have some Ohio lady. Now our library primary my last winter there at some so much. They were putting National Guardsmen over there. A lot of people who didn't know National Guardsmen taking snowblowers. I thought it was it's like driving through an ice maze. It's like, no, I just
We own it. We own.
but it can be dangerous.
Right.
We had some in North Carolina.
It's not even an accident.
We shouldn't have been out during my friend's four-wheel driving. I said if my friend actually were in Jersey, semi-driving as much as you drive nice.
I was like after it stopped.
Yeah.
A lot of the trees stopped.